underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Beyond.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 331. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller. Alongside, he only does everything, Colin Moriarty.
Greg, did you know that on iTunes right now, we are the most listened to video game podcast in the entire world?
Yeah, you tweeted that last night. I retweeted it. A million congratulations, and then a bunch of people, because it's the internet, who got to start picking it apart immediately.
Right.
Well, technically, it's not about how listening, it's about subscribing. And somebody goes, it looks like it's the Bombcast now. This is how charts work. They move around. Who knows the magic algorithm? But we got to be number one for a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen us at number one before, but
sure, it's one of those
we're
things.
number one again, and then maybe we'll be a number one again in the future.
It's one of those things we don't go out of our way to look for it.
Right.
We're glad it happens. We're glad you guys support us. Thank you so much.
We're also confused why anyone listens to this podcast.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening
It's
to it.
such a train wreck every week running to get to it, and then we get to it, and it's just about frickin' G.I. Joes for the first half.
Right.
All these news stories, then we hurry through mail at the end. On top of that, a fan favorite joining us, ladies and gentlemen, the Wiki Wonderkin.
A fan favorite.
Fan favorite. You get a lot of. They say you have the NPR voice of IGN.
I thought my voice was kind of lispy and dissonant, honestly.
Well, but you sound like smart and stuff.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
say smart things. Jared Petty, everybody, he's back.
Who can argue with that? I mean, hey, hello. Greetings.
If you're an avid Podcast Beyond listener, you probably follow us on Twitter. Bobby Amos was supposed to join us. There was a scheduling conflict because we had to move it to Wednesday because I went to LA.
Oh, right.
He'll be back though. He will be on eventually. Meanwhile, I'm gonna screw with this mic a bit because it is not tall enough for my body, and I can't make it do what I want it to do.
Why
Go up. There it goes. There we go.
I just thought you were going to Steve Tyler it there.
Oh, dear. Steven Tyler, get some rags wrapped around it.
Yeah.
Sit around.
Dude, one of my favorite commercials recently is the random commercial is still when he's in the Burger King commercial. You know the one I'm talking about?
I don't know if I do.
And he's like, he's doing all these things in a Burger King. It's just like a goofy...
He's doing all these things in a Burger King.
He's like ringing people up and doing all these things, but one of the things is him at a drive-through, and he has like the mic on, but on the mic are like little feathers and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, that's
Awesome.
great.
So
that's,
good.
That's
Everybody
funny.
loves Steven Tyler with good reason.
Stupid fucking commercial.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Podcast Beyond, the number one PlayStation podcast on the internet, and for the moment, the number one video game podcast on the internet. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank
Always
you so much.
number one in my heart.
Let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. You warned me on Twitter this is going to be a doozy.
Greg, there are 24
items. A double dozen.
Yeah.
The old double-decker. All right, I'm going to start circling.
I wrote this yesterday because I forgot we weren't doing the podcast. There were 17 as of yesterday, but a lot of stuff happened. So let's start at the top.
Okay.
Now, Greg, I like exclusives and I like scoops, but this was an unfortunate scoop that I got yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday, I learned from multiple reliable sources that there were significant layoffs at Sony Santa Monica, the studio best known for God of War. It appears that as many as 50 or 60 people were let go, and one of the games the studio was working on seems to have been canceled. Sony confirmed to me that this was indeed true, at least the layoffs part, not the cancellation of the title part.
Sure.
Saying that they, quote, completed a reduction in workforce, end quote, at Santa Monica as part of a, quote, cycle of resource alignment against priority growth areas within Sony Computer Entertainment's worldwide studios.
Duh.
End
Anyone
quote.
can wrap their head around that.
I don't know what that
Absolutely.
means. Our very best goes out to all those affected. They will all land on their feet, I'm sure, because Santa Monica is very talented.
You have a lot of questions here
Okay.
from the Beyond mailbag. Of course, beyond at IGN.com if you want to be part of this show. Let's start with Kevin. Kevin says, hey, Beyond crew.
Hello.
Just wanted to get your take on the SSM layoffs. I find it strange due to the fact that they were hiring 1 week prior and that they were set to move into a much larger office over the summer, expanding the studio. Also, what game do you think got canned? Space Game or new God of War? Or could there have been a mysterious third game in development?
So I don't know what game got canceled. Keep in mind that none of their games have been announced. So everything that people know about what they're working on is pretty much conjecture at this point.
Right, but when he's talking about the space game, this was news for a long time that the Battlestar dude writer showed up and was doing that. And then God of War, you assume they've been working on. There's been hints at that.
Right. So all right. So we know that let's just do a little math, right?
Let's do it.
We know that.
You know I love math.
We know that. Well, I know you're very good at math.
Yep.
You almost became a mathematician. I heard.
did. What kept me out of it was I kept eating the abacus.
Yeah. You're very hungry. You're very hungry.
I don't understand what you just said.
Abacuses.
Abakai?
Abacus. Yeah, well, I know what an abacus is. I just want to eat one.
Well, we had the special. I went to a poor school where we used olive on strings. We put little olives on strings and moved them around. I was just a poor
And
boy.
that's what I get for asking.
Raised in southern Georgia.
So the space game has been in development for a couple of years or a few years. The God of War team finished Ascension last year, and then we're working on DLC. So they were probably in pre-production with the new God of War game if they're working on a God of War game. Therefore, you assume that the game that was not far along was the one that was canceled.
Right.
So I still think that the space game, whatever that is their new IP is what they're going to be focusing on. Let's keep in mind that God of War Ascension sales were very, very soft.
Super weak.
So God of War 3, for instance, sold almost 6 million copies, I think, on an install base of 40 million PS3s, and then by the time there were 65 million PS3s out there, God of War Ascension sold maybe 2 million. So the move to multiplayer was a bad idea.
You got to take those shots sometimes.
Yeah,
Nobody was asking for it, but you got to swing at the fences.
What about the fact that they were hiring just a few days before that he mentioned? So what do you think that is?
Yeah, so they're still hiring. And I think that a lot of it has to do, you need an infusion of new blood, different kinds of talent. Let's assume that they were working on God of War and that they canceled. This is a third-person action game, right? Some of the people that have been working on that game have probably been there for a long time.
Right.
Let's say they don't want to do that anymore, and they need someone that does an RPG. They're doing maybe an open world RPG now. I'm just making that up. Don't write that anywhere.
Okay.
I mean,
N4G has the assistant. Colin Moriarty's got the scoop.
So then they need people that specialize in open world RPGs. Like you can't, it's just like being, like the artists might be able to work on different kinds of, games and the programmers and all these kinds of things. But certainly there are specializations.
Right.
And so they might still be hiring for games that just don't line up with what they were working on and canceled. And I also think that this was probably not planned until a little while ago, because it doesn't make any sense.
It's always one of those things, when we hear layoffs, I think people jump to the conclusion that they're suffering, the business is suffering, numbers are down, yada, 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 and so they'd cancel open recs and yada. That's not really the case, right? Irrational is a great example of, they laid a whole bunch of people off, but they're still making games. They're still going forward. This isn't that they're out of business. They just are changing their focus. And a sad part of business is that when you do that, you have to get rid of people who don't.
While we're talking about that, then earlier you said you're sure they'll land on their feet, most of these folks. So because of their talent. Looking at their skill sets and looking at what's out there, what would be a good place for people who specialize in what these guys do?
I mean, you think about a company, and they're not going to do any more of these Castlevania games, but I just reviewed Castlevania and Mercury Steam's in Spain, but there are studios that are doing Castlevania is God of War. I mean, the Lords of Shadow is God of War.
Right.
So there are places that are going to be doing these kinds of games still. You think about places like Ninja Theory or like studios that traditionally, with Heavenly Sword and DMC, like traditionally are in that space. But they don't have to end up at those kinds of places either. I just think that having Sony Santa Monica on your resume is going to be very, very powerful.
Absolutely, yeah.
John from Columbia, Missouri writes in on this topic. He says, I recently read that Sony Santa Monica laid off a number of their staff. With the layoffs, recent ones at Irrational, this has been hitting the news a lot lately. Do you think this is indicative of anything in the gaming industry, or are these groups of layoffs coincidentally hitting at the same time? This is something we talk about all the time, right? Right now, this is my thing. I was accused of being cold about the Irrational layoffs and a little unfeeling, but right now it's the nature of the video game business. You build up this huge team, you ramp up to make this game, you make the game, people start to leave for other projects, you keep people around for DLC, and then you lay a whole bunch of people off because you don't need them at that point. It's this weird reciprocal relationship that everybody's in the industry, and that's why I think people are going to land on their feet, right? Is that there's another game gearing up that can use these people, but you're looking at studios doing this more and more. I think that's the easiest way to do it. But another thing he says is, it coincidence it's happening right now. This is funny because we had Clements on last week. He was here, and he was talking about, it's been a year since he was laid off from IGN, almost to the day. They keep happening right around this time period because why, Colin?
It's fiscal year.
Fiscal year is closing out. People have to balance their budgets, make sense of next year's budgets, figure out how they allocate the money and resources they have.
Right. It's never easy, and it sucks that there's not more stability even at AAA developers. There are AAA developers that are very stable, i.e. Rockstar. Or Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
But where you don't hear about layoffs ever. But people like to cherry pick things and say, well, these guys are getting laid off and this is happening to this studio and this studio shut down and this game didn't sell well, and therefore the AAA industry or the console industry or whatever is failing. But or it's in trouble. But I just don't think that's the case.
No, not at all.
Like Grand Theft Auto, as I was talking to someone recently about GTA 5, is the best-selling and highest-grossing entertainment product ever. You know, it's not even a question of how. And look at all the Call of Duty games that just are ridiculous. Like there's an appetite for these games. It's just that you have to hit or you don't. And God of War Ascension didn't hit.
This is not indicative of there being a lack of finance in the industry. I do think it might be indicative of a culture that's continuing to grow that worries me a little bit.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with the fact that companies aren't going to make money or people aren't going to keep making great games. But there are enough people out there that want to do this for a living. I mean, you're a developer. You sit there and go, I want to make great games for a living. There's a lot of those folks out there. Companies can, kind of unfortunately, afford to do this a lot.
I want you to put a quick pin in this because I think you're going somewhere Ryan asks about. Remember, beyond at IGN.com if you want to be part of the show. Ryan says it's becoming alarmingly common for studios to lay employees off now. Their hours are already hard, their stress level is high, and now it's becoming harder financially to support these studios. What can the average gamer do to help?
Oh. Wow, there's a great question.
I think you're hitting on it right there when you're talking about the fact God of War didn't sell well, and now you're seeing it. Maybe we don't know, but you assume people who were working on that project released because now they're redistributing their efforts onto something else, maybe not a third-person game. Buy the games you want to buy. We always talk about voting with your wallet. Vote with your wallet. Don't buy used. Don't wait for a sale.
I mean, buy used, right? If you want to buy used, but understand what you're doing when you do that. And it's not to say that I never bought used games or used games aren't important or that ecosystem's not important, especially because it helps propagate old games that are out of print, right? And it's your right, it's absolutely your right to buy a used game if you want to, but that used game money is not going to the developers and the publishers. So if you really do want this industry to thrive, then you have to think about, is it worth saving that extra money at the sake of the health of a company? And that's really up to you. I can't tell you what to do.
There's something else you can do, too. In addition to voting with your wallet, you can calm down. I'm not talking to our reader here, not the guy who wrote the letter. He seems like a very articulate fellow.
Calm the hell down, Ryan.
But yeah, I mean, studios, particularly the business end of things, can be quite reactionary.
Yeah.
Calm down. Engage the studios not with screaming and yelling on Twitter, but with dialogue, with real questions, with support. Be patient. Be patient with delays. Understanding that people are making those delays so the game will be better. If audiences calm down, they can create a culture in the industry that's just slightly less frantic, and every little bit helps. And enough people calm down, there might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that get to keep their jobs. Sometimes.
I mean, I don't think it's a surprise what you've seen, right? Twisted Metal comes out and doesn't sell. David Jaffe says, I'm leaving this and trying mobile games. I'm going to try to make different experiences. BioShock comes out, prays really well, sells well, doesn't sell enough to be a hit for what they were looking for the years and years of development, but is praised for its story. So Ken Levine looks and says, I'm going to make more story-driven games that are smaller so he can get them out quicker, so he can deliver a little bit best. I mean, look at Gone Home, right? Like the Gone Home team are people who made Minerva's Den. They went off, did their own thing, they got it out the door, and they were lauded. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, their game's the talk of the town. It's up for Game of the Year consideration in places like they want to be part of this conversation. So going out and making a Twisted Metal you believe in may not be the best business plan.
And one final thing you can do to help is evangelize. Not only buy the games yourself, but go out there and encourage other people to buy them. As much, we have big microphones in front of us, but we aren't the people who really sell games. You guys out there right now are the ones who get games sold. You tell your friends about them. You say, go out and get this. They're going to listen to you, not to us. That really matters. So go out and evangelize.
God knows I've evangelized for Calling All Cars 2, and I'm never going to get it.
Yeah. And The Last Guy. And I think that a lot of these problems will take care of themselves. The industry will inevitably go digital only. That is going to happen. That is absolutely going to happen. Maybe not in the next 5 years, but it will happen. And then you won't have the option to buy used games anymore. Just like you don't have the option to buy used games on Steam.
Right, and nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. And then this will create parity within development cycles as well, because when you can cut the middleman out, GameStop, right? When you can cut Amazon out, all of these places, then prices are going to have to go down because there's no one taking a cut from that. There's no truck to drive it to the store. There's no gas to put in the truck. There's no airfare. There's no manufacturer of discs and boxes and instruction manuals. There's no person at the store having to sell it. Once you it will bring costs down. Games will become cheaper. Games are already cheaper than they've ever been.
Oh, absolutely.
And games will, and I want to reiterate that because some people don't believe it, so I'm going to say it again. Games are cheaper than they've ever been.
That wonderful article you wrote last year, I mean, absolutely spectacular.
But they will be cheaper. They will get even cheaper. And the AAA games will even be cheaper. And a lot of this, Greg, I think, too, and you may disagree or agree, is that
with you? Never.
Is that development costs are just too high for AAA games, and expectations are too high. I mean, when a game sells 4 or 5 million copies, that should be a bona fide hit. Not everything should sell like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right,
right. By the way, I'm reading about it right now because I want to make sure I was right about the sales records. Grand Theft Auto 5 made $800 million in one day.
Yeah.
It's just
we always talk about production timelines and schedules and sticking to them, right? And we always joke about Last Guardian, how it's gone on, and in that time, Naughty Dog was able to make all the Uncharted and Last of Us, right? Naughty Dog has a great pipeline. Every 2 years, here's a great game that we really tried, and maybe it's not a 40-hour RPG or something. It's something that we really produce and believe in, and it sells enough to keep the studio going to make the other game and make them a profit and make Sony care about them.
Isn't it amazing how these well-managed studios that manage to retain their staffs keep making great games over and over and over again? That's another part. I mean, we're kind of letting the business end of things off the hook here a little. I mean, and I understand free market economics is going to rear its head and do its thing, but the studios that keep their teams tend to consistently produce good content. I really hope we don't see too many more layoffs. I know we're going to, but maybe somebody's eventually going to figure out that, hey, if we just keep these guys around, we can make better stuff.
Number 2. We'll go quick.
No, you're doing great.
It looks like Dead Nation.
This is the show. This is what it's all about.
this is-
You
it's all
do
about
the
this,
thing.
yeah.
I gotta fix your collar.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It looks like Dead Nation is coming to PlayStation 4, Greg.
Well, that's interesting.
Ooh.
The official PlayStation blog of Asia leaked word of the game's existence for Sony's new console called Dead Nation Apocalypse Edition, and it will launch next week, at least in Asia,
What?
as a free PlayStation Plus game.
Woo!
Dead Nation originally came to PS3 in 2010 and was developed by Housemarque, the studio behind Super Stardust, Outland, and Resogun. Greg underscored it.
It was given a very fair score by Greg.
Vita iteration was revealed at
It was a
E3 last
20-point
year.
scale at the time,
year.
Colin. I played in the sandbox I was given.
What'd you give him,
A
Greg?
7.5. It was good.
7.5. Okay.
A
Colin
Vita
wants
iterate-
it to have a 9.2.
No, like a 9 seems appropriate for the PS3 version. Who knows what the Dead Nation on PS4 is going to be? A Vita iteration was revealed at E3 last year, though its
Where's
status
that?
remains unknown. Sony refuses, at least so far, to answer my emails about Dead Nation. The game is supposed to come out in a few days, so I'm a little confused why it hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah.
If this is true, right? This is unconfirmed.
Well, it's on their PlayStation blog in Asia, so it's
Is this just a
my
case
bad, my
where
bad, my
absolutely
bad,
true.
my bad.
Somebody pressed publish when they were
But it's a
supposed
normal
to?
thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, is it still up?
I assume so.
Territories get games often with in different orders and different dates and whatever.
Yeah.
Now, when original Dead Nation came out, I said it was good, and I enjoyed it. And you and I wanted to eventually try to platinum it together. Right at the
We
time,
should
there were
do
no
it on PS
platinums
we should do it on
it.
PS4.
That's my question. But here's the problem: is if it's coming out next month, that's a jam-packed month.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna have time to go through because we have to play it on the hardest difficulty, beat it, and then unlock the what is it? I want to say grief, but that's not right. It's some crazy,
I don't
insane,
remember.
undead.
I got
thing.
almost all the trophies by myself.
Yeah,
in
you
that
hated
game.
that. That was tough though.
Yeah, it was like, and it's like when I played Modern Warfare 2 and did like all of the Spec Ops stuff by myself.
Yeah.
Except for like the 2 missions you couldn't do by yourself.
Was
Yeah.
this just because no one loved you? Or,
I hate playing games online.
Actually, so do I. Okay,
yeah.
So
sorry.
here's
I
here's
feel
what I want to
feel your pain.
Here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Dead Nation supposedly coming out in March.
Yeah.
I want to toss that into Parker's question. Parker writes into beyond@ign.com just like you can. It says beyond.
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 March is going to be huge. After a serious lack of good releases, we will finally be getting a bunch of hopefully great games in March. But are there too many? If you only had enough money to get one game for the PlayStation brand in March, what would it be? A few hot titles I've been keeping my eye on are Metal Gear, Infamous, Minecraft, which like in February when they said it was coming, they said March. I wouldn't hold your breath. South Park, Dark Souls 2. We'll add in Dead Nation. If I had to just pick one, I'd probably pick Infamous. This is Parker saying. Blah blah blah. I want to hear what your picks would be. What do you got for me, guys?
Based on what I've played of Infamous, I would say Infamous. But who knows what the final product's going to be like. But some of those games are cheap, and some of those games, we don't know the quality of them. So it'll be
Right,
hard
that's
for us.
always the
Some
tough
of them we
thing
do,
here.
we can't talk about them.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
oh
dear.
based purely on pre-release information, I'm intrigued by Dark Souls 2.
You would be.
Yeah, I would be.
You monster.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the Dark
Nah,
Souls?
nothing. I understand Dark Souls. Not my kind of
Really?
game. See, for me, this is rough because it's Metal Gear coming up against Infamous, coming up against South Park. There's a lot of great
But
stuff
isn't
there.
Metal Gear, that's the downloadable prologue, right?
Well, they're putting a disc too. Don't forget. But
Yeah.
because they want to make money.
Oh.
They want to get out. They want to get
Isn't it
that
supposed
game.
to be like 2 hours long or
That's
something
how
like
long the story is, but then there's all these other.
They're putting
there's
that on
size
a
in it.
disc?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow,
I'm not wrong
okay.
about that, right? There.
From what I've heard, it's very short. Yeah.
No, but I mean the disc part. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
the
disc
disc part?
as well,
I don't-
right?
I
I think
don't
you're
know.
right, but
I-
that's just
Okay.
kind of...
Hey, you got to make that money, Konami.
No,
You're always
no,
talking
they-
about it. They got to make money. That's why they're putting it out.
They like
Probably.
the money. They like
Yeah,
it.
make a Metal Gear game and
Dude, I'm
and release.
pumped. I don't even care that.
Metal Gear
I don't even
game.
care that the story's 2 hours long. I don't even care if the side content's just another hour.
But this
Can't
reader,
wait.
This reader's totally correct. There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, South Park looks intriguing. If you haven't played Minecraft yet,
Yeah.
just wait till everything else is a month old and play Minecraft too.
Well, it's one of those. Yeah, I don't know how
And
much
then-
money he has. If he's only got one game and it's going to have to last him, Minecraft obviously is going to
Yeah,
be
'cause it's just
long lasting.
so
So
good.
would Dark Souls though.
Yeah, Dark Souls is
Metal
pretty
Gear won't be. Infamous will have at least 2 great playthroughs, I'm sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
If it doesn't suck.
Yeah, Infamous 1 and 2 both took 25 or 30 hours to platinum, so you can assume...
I've been waiting so long for Infamous. Infamous versus Metal Gear is where it's at for me.
I don't know if I'm
If I
allowed
had
to-
one, I'd go Infamous probably.
Okay.
Am I allowed to ask how much Infamous you've touched, Colin?
You're always allowed to ask. You
Well,
might
let's
not
go.
be allowed to
Let's
answer.
go to number 3, and this might answer your question.
Oh, doctor!
Infamous Second Son is officially finished and has gone gold. Brian Fleming, Sucker Punch's co-founder and longtime producer, revealed the news on Twitter. Infamous Second Son launches exclusively on PlayStation 4 worldwide on March 21st, and I will be going to Sucker Punch tomorrow.
Ooh.
Why, I can't tell you, but you can assume that things will happen there.
Yep.
That will be interesting, and about Infamous.
I'm going to make all kinds of
Speaking
assumptions.
of Infamous, we have a whole bunch of Infamous questions.
Okay.
You ready for some of them?
But to answer your question more directly, I played Infamous. The last time I went hands-on with it was at E3. And when I was in Santa Monica a few weeks ago, I kindly let Vince play it.
Yeah.
Since
You're like, here you go. Here are my breadcrumbs. Here you go.
Yes.
From the master's table. Remember special segment Liar?
Yes.
Paul writes in with a special segment Liar. Colin Moriarty, you are a liar.
Okay.
He says, hey guys, I heard Colin mention that Infamous Second Son is the first to use mocap in a Sucker Punch history, but I recall Nate Fox talking about using mocap, not their own studio, for Infamous 2 in an interview before its release. It's just been bugging me. Is Nate Fox a liar or Colin Moriarty?
That's probably me. I mean, Nate Fox would know since he makes the game.
Right.
Yeah, I think the big news was that they had their own mocap studio, so I may have misspoken.
No.
Apologize about that.
It's one of those things we try to get so much information in this hour-long podcast for you. The deal is this, that in Infamous 2, they had mocap at a different place for motion, like the people's bodies when Zeke would dance and stuff, and then voice.
An animated GIF of what you just did is going to show up on the internet.
I'm glad. I don't care. Just do it all day long here, hula hooping and stuff.
Moving around.
But no, they had them in the ping pong ball suits to get their stick figure motion while they recorded voices. For Infamous Second Son, it's that same thing, but then the ping pong ball's in the face, so that they can actually capture facial recognition. And this is the big step forward we've been talking about, and the fact that, like, when I went up there to see the thing during PAX or whatever and got the studio tour, and they went in and showed, like, why Delson's face looks just like Troy Baker, because they'd put the balls on Troy's face. Troy's in a lot of games. He loves having balls on his face, I hear. But, you know, they can move it around, do whatever, and that's where, like, why it looks so much better and why it looks more like a movie, and they have these great cinematics and stuff.
So short answer, Colin Moriarty is full of broken dreams and empty promises.
No, I think it's a little bit of both. Both of them are liars. Nate Fox and Colin. Wow. I want a photo of you guys hugging it out up there.
I will. I'll send you some pictures.
You want to talk some more Infamous real quick?
Sure.
GN Training on PSN. This is his name, GN Training. He tweeted at us, emailed us at beyond@ign.com, said, Beyond. I'm willing to bet Kessler is the villain in Infamous Second Son. If you look at the Fetch trailer at 1:22, it looks like Kessler in his usual long coat and church shoes. I don't know what that means.
Church shoes? Like loafers?
What do you guys think the chances that we will see Cole in Second Son as Kessler? This is kind of spoilery, but again, if you know anything about, you should know something about. Either you know nothing about Infamous and you're jumping into Second Son and having a ball, or you should know everything about Infamous and be ready for it. This is something we talked about in our Rewind Theater. Thanks for not watching it, GN Training. It does look like Kessler there. I don't think Kessler will be the villain of this one. I do think Cole makes some kind of an appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Cole's absolutely in the game.
Okay.
Right. I agree 100% too.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
It's got to be, like they said, what did they say? The canon ending of Infamous 2 was the good ending, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
his body's going...
The Beast never happened, right? Like with
Cole.
Yeah.
So Cole dies defeating the Beast. He turns on the new Ray Sphere thing and, like, you know, nukes all the conduits in that area. This is something that I called them out in the beginning with, but when I went back and watched it, remember, it was some conduits around the world were dropping, not every conduit. So that's why there's still conduits in the
I remember
world.
the ending. I'm seeing the ending.
Yeah. But remember, like, when his body goes out into the water, like, when on a little barge or whatever, there's that lightning bolt that looks like it makes a 3. So it's totally possible that Cole McGrath's going to pop up and give Delson some crap.
I think the deeper question is it going to be Infamous 3 church shoes after that?
Infamous 3.
That's the
church
DLC.
shoes.
Number 4. Square Enix is giving Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn players an interesting ability starting on April 11th. The studio will allow players to transfer their saved game from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4.
So cool.
However, once you've transferred to the PS4 iteration, you can't go back to the PS3 version with your save, so be sure it's something you want to do before you commit.
It's like in Superman 2. When Superman steps into the red sun crystal and goes just to being Clark Kent nonstop. He's a human.
But he's not really committed because
No, 'cause
that
he
all turns out to be crap.
Yeah,
because, there's a little crystal that's like, oh, no, wait, I was just kidding everybody.
And he kills a bunch of people and doesn't even care.
Yeah, that's the whole Richard Donner thing, though. I mean, that was not his, the switching directors
You're
in the
a real
middle,
pain in the neck.
Yeah, he didn't really kill those people. That's
he
all
did.
apocryphal. No, totally did not kill
You
them.
cannot
he
come in here and throw
them,
around.
He arrested them and took them to Metropolis.
Did he?
Did.
Oh, Zod. Okay, yes.
Richard,
the Star Labs of the Richard Donner
Richard
universe.
Donner cut right here. All right, so he does not actually kill them. No.
These are some nerdy conversations, Colin.
Are you done?
Totally.
You nerds done?
Also,
I want to talk about the dangin' Rampa.
He really only kills one. The second guy jumps off a cliff on his own, and Lois Lane knocks the third one into a hole. So it's really only
You're
Zod
a real
he
pain
kills.
in the neck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Non kind of kills himself by being stupid.
Right.
And they don't even really die, necessarily. They just fall
it's still
into
going
ice
on.
caverns
Well,
and starve to death
probably
and die.
dead. Well,
Yeah.
that or the crushing impact of, striking the ice with their falling bodies.
But remember, I mean, he's falling into a crevice. I imagine the crevice is getting tighter.
I don't know. I
So
fell into...
you think it's getting wider into like a Minecraft
No,
pit?
I think it's getting tighter, but I fell into a crevice once, and it still really hurts. Like,
Okay.
I mean, you
Why
could
not?
fall into a deep enough crevice, it could totally kill you.
Sure.
Yeah. I fell into a really deep crevice once.
Colin's
Very
falling
lucky.
into
Crevasse?
crevices on the nightly.
Crevasse. I was falling into a crevasse. You're falling into a nightly crevasse?
Just go to the next one.
I don't even know where to go with that.
I don't either. Number 5.
Yeah.
Trials Fusion, the fourth game in the long-running Trials series of racing games, will be coming to PlayStation 4, as well as Xbox One, Xbox 360, and PC on April 16th. Trials has traditionally been exclusive to Xbox, with some options for PC gamers. This will be the first Trials game to appear on a PlayStation console. I think we have a preview of it up now.
Okay.
Colin, is this a case of moving over to a PC-style architecture on both systems, meaning that we're going to see more and more crossplay, or is this incidental?
No, I think that's absolutely what's going to happen.
Okay.
I think it's just
Crossplay's
easy.
the
It makes sense. They don't have to deal with Cell anymore.
Yeah.
Number 6, the popular indie puzzle platformer Swapper has been announced for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation Vita. Curve Studios, the British publisher that's been becoming more and more active in the PlayStation indie scene these days, is porting the games over for a late May release. It will be cross-buy between platforms. That game looks really, really good. It's supposed to be really, really good. Awesome Knots Assemble will be coming to PlayStation 4 on March 4th in North America and March 5th in Europe. It's an iteration. Hold on, my phone's going off.
Got that alarm.
Oh.
Take your brain medicine.
It's an iteration of Ronimo Games 2D MOBA and is already available on PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360, but there are some extras in the PS3 version, including 7 new characters, a new map, improved controls, and more.
I don't know the fuck you just
Now
said.
page 2.
What the fuck's a MOBA? All right, now we're on to the Real Roper report from yesterday.
This is the heart of the matter from yesterday.
All right.
Number 8, PlayStation 4 has launched in Japan, and it is officially a success.
Yay!
According to Famitsu, PS4 pushed 322,000 units in its first 2 days on the market there. That's over 3.5 times more units than PS3 sold in Japan in its first 2 days. When PS3 launched in Japan, it sold 88,443 units in 48 hours. I think it was supply constrained, though.
You don't think that was retail tag being higher?
It's that, too, but I think that they sold everyone they could, and I don't think they sold every PS4.
Oh, really? Okay.
There's an amendment to this.
Ooh.
I wrote really this morning because I was looking at Media Create sales.
The man from Long Island proposes an amendment to the Roper report.
PlayStation 4 game sales have been soft in Japan. NAC was bundled with each console sold and therefore sold over 300,000 copies.
And probably got returned a lot.
But the rest of the games have... Here's what's funny is that there are more copies of the game sold than there were units sold, which means people accidentally bought the game or bought another copy of the game.
Nice.
Oh, this NAC game, that looks pretty cool.
But the rest of the games available didn't sell well. Yakuza Aishin sold 82,540 copies.
Yakuza did not sell well, really?
No, yeah, it's the new Yakuza game. But the PS3 iteration released at the same time sold 138,158 copies. While Killzone Shadowfall sold 32,000 copies and Battlefield 4 sold 24,700 copies. Dynasty Warriors 8, Assassin's Creed 4, Call of Duty Ghosts, and Tomb Raider each sold in the teens, and FIFA 14 and Need for Speed Rivals sold fewer than 10,000 copies each. That amounts, outside of NAC, to about 210,000 copies, which means that not everyone that bought a PS4 bought a game. Mm-hmm. Now, NAC was included. Resogun, I think, is free there, too. There are digital games. And you can download your games digitally, and that's not counted on Media
Digital
Create.
games are where it's at. We all know that.
Yeah, it's a soft software launch.
The same thing happens with Vita sales in Japan. Mm-hmm. Vita game sales.
Vita game sales went down?
Well, Vita game sales aren't totally represented on Media Create because a lot of people are buying digital games. Duh. You could see that with Dragon's Crown, which sold well on Media Create, but actually did almost 1 million copies worldwide, and a lot of those are not accounted for on NPD and
now I
Media Create.
Cool.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Speaking of PS4, Sony has revealed that it expects the console to be scarce until at least April. Speaking with MCV, Sony UK's Fergal Gara said that April is the month Sony is shooting for to have the consoles be more readily available on store shelves. Right now, there's no guarantee you'll find one at both brick and mortar and online retailers, a sign of the console's continued popularity and a sign of Sony's inability to create enough consoles to meet demand. Hopefully that will, not be a problem soon so people can find a console if they're having an issue. It's not the Wii by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It took me a full year to find a Wii.
And then how long did it take you to stop playing it?
Another year. Sitting in a closet somewhere in our house.
Only for you Mega Mans.
Yeah, I pull it out to play Virtual Console every once in a while.
Yeah.
The last Wii game I played on my Wii was Galaxy 2, which is a fantastic game.
Oh,
but I think, Galaxy 2, and New Super Mario Brothers or whatever the hell that game was
Those
called.
are the last ones.
Those are the last ones I played.
Oh wow, you didn't play Xenosaga? Didn't play?
No.
Okay, or Xenoblade? Pardon me.
No.
Xenoblade. Didn't play Last Story.
Nope.
Oh, I'm surprised by that. Xenoblade good.
Xenoblade good.
Xenoblade good.
Xenoblade good. Yeah, totally. Xenoblade's good.
Donkey Kong bad.
Donkey Kong. Actually, Donkey Kong pretty good too.
Yeah, I'm just jumping to something. That
I played it for 5 minutes yesterday in Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Not feeling it.
Donkey King.
But not enough time to have rendered a full judgment on it. I didn't like the way it felt.
Donkey Kong's a game about this one. Anyways, first one I've liked.
Tropical Freeze.
It's not great, but it's good. Yeah, Tropical Freeze, and it's a game about finding stuff. If you like finding stuff and hitting corners, you may enjoy it more than.
I enjoy finding things here and there.
King.
Yeah,
but then you get to the minecart levels and you just want to cry because they're stupid.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Number 10. This is good news for you, Greg.
Finally.
Persona 5 has been confirmed for Western release. It will launch outside of Japan in 2015 and will be exclusive to PlayStation 3. We literally know nothing else about the game right now except that Atlas is naturally developing it internally. Catherine team.
Kevin O'Donnell writes in and says, just wanted to say, Beyond! Quick question regarding Persona 5. Finances dictate that I need to sell my PlayStation 3, so I was wondering what you guys think the chances of Persona 5 coming to the PS4 or the Vita are.
PS4 is zero-ish. Vita, I think, for sure, but not it's going to come to PS3 first, and if you see a PS4 or Vita iteration, it'll be later. So
it's going to be way late. That's the
Persona
thing.
5 Golden, yeah. It's
exactly, and think of how long it took to get Persona 4 on the Vita. Now, granted, I know that was an origin.
But people have to be patient, because think about Persona. I have a copy of Persona 4 on PS2.
Yeah.
It came out in 2008.
Right.
So we have to be, that was well after everyone was putting their PS2s away, so you just got to hang on to it.
What do you think?
Want to... Oh, sorry.
Is there any possibility of PlayStation Now solving this problem?
With Persona, I don't think so.
Do you think PlayStation Now will strictly be first-party-ish stuff in the beginning?
I think that there are going to be financial ramifications for third parties putting their games onto this thing.
Yeah.
Just too
and
soon.
especially with a big game.
We
like
say
that.
it's too soon, but it's 20. We're looking at the summer in quotes of PlayStation Now releasing, and then sometime in 2015,
I've got to
Persona
see
5 works.
I've got to see a proof of concept for a large size game before I believe.
Sure.
It's gonna be
I understand
viable.
that.
And I'm not sure they want Persona 5, which should sell very well, to be their proof of concept if it doesn't work out.
We say that, but I mean,
we're
we're looking quite a ways down the line here on my PlayStation 3 still being on my entertainment console.
Show me PS or PlayStation Now with Resogun type games first.
Sure.
Give me something smaller that I know will work. Then I'll start building my faith in a large title working through that kind of streaming service. I have total faith in Sony. I don't have faith in the internet infrastructure on this.
Sure.
It's
Now,
going to take a while.
Jumping on the same thing, BJ writes in and says Beyond.
Beyond!
With the announcement of Persona 5 coming to PS3 in 2015, it makes me wonder, when will last gen truly die?
With Persona 5.
You think that's it? Is that the final gasp? I mean,
that might be the last. That might really be the best big PS3.
It's a weird thing to look back and when the PS2, PS3 switch really happened. It seemed like God of War 2 was the final PS2 game. Everybody was like, "Oh," and that was right after the PS3's launch.
Well, there's practically nothing coming out for the Xbox after the next couple of months,
right?
And the PS3 has a longer lifespan looking here, but P5 looks like the end of the rainbow. And why announce anything at this point? Why develop anything for the cell at this point when you can develop for Intel?
Well,
it's just so much simpler.
The Japanese studios are doing it, and I think Persona 5, Tales of Zestiria, and a few others will be the last PS3 games. But they might continue to start. PS2 was technically supported, I think, until 2012.
Yeah, they went well beyond their 10-year life cycle they were always talking about. But I don't know,
FIFA and shit like that.
Even right now, it's still weird to me to be using my PlayStation 3 for games I'm really excited for, like South Park. I'm like, yup, I'm totally down to have that thing still hooked up.
But why at this point there's a big difference between last gen and this with PS2 and PS3, and maybe this will come to be, maybe it won't. But now we have, with digital distribution services being so well established, do you push your game out on PS3 much later, or do you just go ahead and distribute the thing digitally on PS4? I think you might be in a bit. I just don't see a lot in the pipeline.
Yeah, I think what you're going to find are that a lot of Western publishers will re-release their PS3 games that are coming out this year on PS4 and Xbox One, and I think you're going to find that a lot of Japanese developers will more likely release their games on Vita than they will on PS4.
I agree.
Interesting.
There's no market for PS4 in Japan right now. I mean, it's sold well.
Well, it just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's already 14 or 15 million PS3s in people's homes. When Persona, when Persona 5 comes out, that game is going to sell millions of copies. And I don't know that it would. It's helped sell Vita, even re-releasing Persona 4. So there is some hardware movement there, but I don't think putting it on a next gen console is smart, especially because Persona 5 has been in development for 3.5 years. So,
just hold on to your PS3.
Yep.
Don't sell it yet. If you want to play P5, don't sell your PS3.
And you will.
And don't sell your PS3 because there's a bunch of games you can't friggin' play on your PS4, and you should just hold. You should never sell your hardware.
Don't forget, old game
mistake.
is old though.
No,
the old adage.
Yeah,
I believe it was Billy Chestnut who said that.
Number 11. Speaking of Persona 4 Arena 2, known officially as Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, has been confirmed for release in the West in the fall of 2014.
Woohoo!
Originally announced in Japan as a PS3 exclusive, it will come out in the West on both PS3 and Xbox 360, just like Persona 4 Arena did. Number 12. Speaking of Persona yet again, Persona 4 Dancing All Night has also been confirmed for release in the West. Dancing All Night is a Vita exclusive rhythm game and will come out sometime in 2015. The guys that did Hatsune Miku is doing that. Dingo, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Greg,
I'm suddenly interested.
Number 13. Speaking of Persona for a final time, Famitsu has revealed which upcoming games the Japanese audience is most anticipated.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any guesses as to what these are?
WWE 2015,
Right.
2K15.
Right. No, seriously. What do you think? What do you think some of the games in the top 5 are
I'm sorry,
in Japan?
just in general.
Upcoming games
Okay.
For PS3.
for anything.
For anything. I mean, P5 obviously is huge. Is that too far out? Or?
That
P5 is number 1 on the list.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Is Q on the list? Is Persona Q on the list? Or
I'm
not?
looking here. Nope.
Nope. Okay.
I don't think that game's going to do very well.
No. Strange Journey didn't do well, and that's a shame because
Etrian Odyssey's got it's like an Etrian Odyssey game. It's a niche, but I think I'm not sure what's.
Did you
You got
play
a
Shin
Ys
Megami
game on
Tensei
there?
Strange Journey?
No.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Colin, run, go play it. So
You got a Ys game on there.
No.
Danganronpa 2.
No, Danganronpa.
No, I should know this.
There's some obvious ones on here that I'm surprised you guys are.
Okay, well,
Dynasty
we're
Warriors.
not very bright.
Samurai Warriors 4 is
Thank
number
you.
4.
Okay, there we go.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
very
Do they
bright.
still make us? Huh?
I'm not very bright.
I said we're not very.
No,
bright.
okay, yeah, well, us for sure.
Yeah, I said we're not you.
Okay. No, well, I meant
you're still included.
I'm not very
in that,
bright, as in
but-
you're not.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Oh,
just tell me the.
Is there a Sakura Taisen game on there?
No. Number 2 is Mario Kart 8.
Oh.
Number 3 is Final Fantasy 15.
Okay. Smabra? Smash Brothers on there?
It is, but it's in like the 30s.
Okay.
Number 5 is Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, of course.
Other notable games for audience of this podcast: Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is at number 6. Tales of Zestiria is number 12. Yakuza Ishin, which just came out, is number 16. Freedom Wars, which I hope gets localized, is number 18. The Last Guardian is number 27.
Up Japan.
Soul Sacrifice Delta is number 28.
Oh,
We want our Luck Dragon. We want it.
Number 14. Sony is reportedly preparing to reveal its long-rumored Oculus Rift-like VR headset at this year's GDC.
Dang, that's soon, son.
Sources told website TechRadar that Sony is still working on tweaking and polishing the product designed to be used with PlayStation 4.
I keep waiting for them to reveal that they've cloned John Carmack. Like he's just going to walk out on stage with them and have his own. I don't
We'll
know.
see. May have originally been planned to be revealed last year, so I think it's still in the works. But a lot of sources have been saying.
Are you excited at all about this?
Not a little bit, but Oculus Rift actually was like my product of the show at E3 last year. I was blown away by it.
Yeah,
It's
no.
very, very, very cool. I was really, really enamored with it. I played CCP's Space Shooter.
Yeah.
And it'll be cool, but like I don't need this.
Were you here when they brought it by for the most recent demo?
I don't have any idea. Probably.
Did you use a
Oculus
Rift in the last 3
You
weeks?
asked if I was here.
Huh?
You asked if I was here. I don't know if I was here.
Why? You would have remembered them. They did it right by your desk, so I couldn't remember. If you
No,
were there.
I probably not. Then.
Anyways, it was awesome. That was
Yeah.
the HD one with the movement tracking, and I got to like they were doing like a real time strategy game, and I got to like lean in and put my face next to characters. Sometimes it was awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool that it makes strapping a lunchbox to your head seem like a good idea. It's just rad, and how far it's come. I'm going to buy one of these. I don't care if it fails at market 6 months later. I am buying one.
Yeah.
I'm sold on this thing. I don't care if I have to pay $1,000 for it. I want
Wow,
this
that's
thing.
a lot of money. You can get it cheaper than that right now, can't you?
Yeah, I
In
think
one of the
so.
dev kits.
But I don't know.
Don't sign up for $1,000.
No, just but I'm sorry. I'm doing a bad job of expressing why. But
It's awesome.
It's got that same effect, and people are going to laugh at this. It has that same effect it did the first time I played Wii Sports.
Yeah.
It's like I've never done this before, and I want more of it. The same thing. I've just never seen anything like this before that works this well, and it could change the way you play games. Anything that happens in a cockpit is going to be unreal.
It was so cool. That was the game I played, and it was you're in spacious dogfighting, which is like tech demo. I was like, this is fucking awesome. I like couldn't believe how cool it was. Like how cool. VR's always been this hokey, stupid shit.
Yeah.
And like suddenly, like it works.
It works.
Yeah.
It works perfectly. It makes the game more engaging, which is the first time VR has ever done that. Before that, it's just been a gimmick. I want this, and I want my Ender's Game Battle Room 360-degree descent type like shooter to go with it. And then I can just lock myself in the closet for 3 months.
I'm so stoked. Like I loved just looking to the side, like while you're like, it's just like all these things, like you have to like teach yourself that, like, wow, you can look behind you if like you think someone's behind you, like you're looking behind you, you can kind of see their ship. I'm like, oh my god.
Or the fact that you're
cool.
not locked into that reticule being in the front of your ship. Just look up there, lock on, and fire. And the difference that makes in the way you play, turning away from a missile while locking onto your target. Man, it's so cool! I want
That was
it
when I was doing the RTS or whatever, and like I'm over a giant board in a 3-dimensional space. Like I kept like coming down to look and then being afraid, like looking down, afraid I was going to clip like the thing because like I'm going to hit the table, and then it's like, oh, well, the table doesn't exist. I can clear it. As soon as I keep telling everybody, like, put a Superman game on that, and all it is flying.
Yeah.
I don't even care. If you just make a flying simulator where you're just like, you can take off and land, like just run, jump and run and fly. I'm like, oh my God.
Or just play Minecraft. I mean, just the up and the down of Minecraft with that thing. I can't even imagine. But yeah, people of the earth who are listening to this, like I was as skeptical as you are right now. I thought this was a dumb idea. And I am sold. I have experienced the wonder, and
I won't pay $1,000 for it, but I will pay a lot of money for it.
I'd pay $1,000.
And me and Colin will sit there and be idiots on our couch next to each other.
Yeah, you look dumb as can be. It just does not matter. Ignore the laughter of other people.
Well, you have headphones on usually.
Yeah, and we'll see if the PS4 iteration works. But Oculus Rift with trophies sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So we've gushed on that for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Number 15. Gran Turismo 5's DLC is officially being taken off of the PlayStation Network.
Oh.
So if you want any of it, now's the time to go and buy it. As of April 30th, the DLC will be removed, as will GT5's online functionality, likely in an attempt to funnel people towards the far less popular Gran Turismo 6, also available on PlayStation 3. Number 16, I'm surprisingly excited about this one. Doom 4 is real. And people who buy Wolfenstein The New Order will be given access to Doom 4's beta. Doom 4, long in development and since renamed simply Doom, is presumably under development at legendary Bethesda-owned studio id Software. Any further details on the game are unknown. I love Doom 3 and the original Doom, so
yeah,
I'm totally sold on that. All of id's people are gone now, so who the hell knows what it's going to be? But
probably
Doom 3 was awesome. That was a really fucking good game.
Probably buying Wolfenstein now. Yeah, I know.
I was gonna buy Wolfenstein anyway.
Yeah,
because I love that. I love that series.
But
Wolfenstein has a bad reputation in the office and in the comments. But when I played it at PAX or whatever a while back, like I did the opening and it was like, it's got like the goofy action story of like like you were a Nazi killer dude or whatever.
BJ Blauskowitz.
Then you get knocked out and you come to and like you're just sitting in a chair as like a comatose guy and the world's passing you by and then you like stand up and get to fight everybody. It was like dumb, but it was like dumb fun. Like I'm still excited for that game. I still want to play that.
Just pretend you're Bucky with a submachine gun.
There you go.
And killing Nazis.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's dad plays a lot of PC shooters.
Yeah.
And he has like forever. He's been like a big PC gamer.
Yeah.
So I have Wolfenstein on Game Boy Advance, and like Wolfenstein 3D, and like I tell you guys sometimes she gets into really weird games. She doesn't care about games at all, but then like she'll start playing like what was the. She was like, Don't Starve.
Stacker.
And Super Stacker was like her shit on PlayStation 3. She loved that game.
But she's playing the GBA version.
Yeah, so this was like years ago, like when we lived in our old house in Daly City. I'd play games, and she like played the hell out of that game on Game Boy Advance. She loved it. And I was like, she's like, it's just around. It's like, I remember playing this when I was a kid, and she's like really good at it. That game's hard.
Did you ever play Super Noah's Ark?
No.
For the Super Nintendo. It was Wolfenstein. I mean, it's obviously built on the Wolfenstein source code, but it's run by Wisdom Tree, the company that made all the quote-unquote Christian
Sunday
games.
Fun Day.
Yeah, they made Sunday Fun Day. They made, they later became Color Dreams. They made King Neptune's Adventure. They made, anyway, they made Wolfenstein, except you were Noah running around an ark killing goats with a slingshot.
Nice.
But it was obviously built on the Wolfenstein engine.
Was it good? You couldn't look up?
No, you couldn't look up, and the graphics, the way they scaled, were identical to what you'd see in Wolfenstein. I don't know if they struck a deal with id and licensed the source. I don't know what it was, but it's kind of amazing.
You should, by the way, people out there are always asking me on Twitter, like, recommend me some good books, some good history books. One of the best video game history books ever written, ever, is The Masters of Doom.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it's about the creation of id and all the stuff they used to do, and the stories in that book are just fantastic, with the exception of maybe Game Over and like Lightning in the Valley and like a few of the other games or a few of the other books. Like that's probably the best book ever written about games.
It's really good. Dungeons and Dreamers is really good. Have you ever read that?
Which one is it?
Dungeons and Dreamers.
No. What is that?
It's about Richard Garriott.
Oh,
it's really good.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty good. I like Richard Garriott.
I do too.
He's a pioneer.
He went to space.
Yes, he certainly did.
Yeah.
But yeah, Masters of Doom, excellent book.
I just love how your thought can be stopped. Just like the train is full stop, and you're just like, I like Richard Garriott.
Yeah.
Have you read Racing the Beam?
What is it?
Racing the Beam?
No.
Oh, you've got to read this.
What is this?
Racing the Beam is a book. Nominally, it's about programming the Atari 2600, but really, it's a history book, and it's brilliant. The stuff that's in there, like. Now I'm diverging, and we're in a log podcast already.
This is what the podcast does.
Okay, so yeah, this
Podcast
is a book,
Beyond is the conversational
he takes a
podcast.
number. Okay, well, the Atari 2600 is the weirdest beast to program probably in console history, and he takes several games and talks about their development process, and you learn so much about what went into making each of them in terms of the history, and you also learn about the structure of how video games are put together and how innovations happen in mid-process, discovering new things, new ways to do things, unplanned things happening. I mean, the Atari 2600 was built to handle 2 sprites and and one ball and 2 other moving objects, 5 objects total. And they managed to create, Space Invaders and Pac-Man and all these amazing things out of that, often with a 4K ROM restriction. So like I said, I'm going to go off and talk about this forever. Anyway, it's a great book about programming and history. In Yar's Revenge, you ever play Yar's Revenge?
Yes.
Okay, so Yar's Revenge was a 4K ROM. They hadn't figured out bank switching yet, or hadn't implemented it in a lot of their games. 4K of ROM, not RAM, ROM. That's the entire machine code to run the game is there in 4K. They ran out of space for the force field, and they're like, we need this force field, but we don't have any room left to put a sprite for the force field. So they run the game's source code in a stream in that column. When you see the force field in Yar's Revenge, you're watching the game's source code running in a stream. That's what makes the force field up.
It's
like that kind of innovation.
What is the book called?
It's called Racing the Beam. It was an MIT paper originally, and then it got adapted into a pretty readable book.
I'm gonna look into that.
It's on.
I like reading about games very much.
Yeah, it comes.
You hate playing them.
Yeah, I don't like playing them very much.
It was on Kindle, then it got yanked for a while. I think it might be back.
Yeah, I'll check it out because I read all my books on iPad now.
Yeah, I have it. If you can't get it, you can borrow my iPad to read it. I'll evangelize on that. Yeah,
and with I got a name of the book mixed up. I said Lightning in the Valley. It's Fire in the Valley, which is about the development of Lightning. Dealers of Lightning is the book I got it mixed up with, which I think is about Xerox. But yeah, Masters of Doom. Masters of Doom. Very good book.
Greg, you read the books?
Once in a while.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much as Colin does. Because Colin just will be like, He'll be watching a documentary and stop the documentary to 500-page thing about Nazi helmets.
I read a ton of books. But that's what I like to do in my spare time.
You mentioned not Nazi helmets, World War I helmets. I imagine Pear walking around in a World War I helmet last night with a little spike on top. No, it's not.
Well, the Kaiser helmets.
It was a dream I had last night. He and I were talking about those helmets yesterday, and then I dreamed he was wearing one when I was asleep last night. Kaiser helmets, yeah. And again, World War I, World War II, no connection. Nazis were not in World War I, etc. All right.
Yes. Anyone who knows history knows that. So don't worry, you don't have to defend yourself.
Oh, no, I just didn't want our readers to think that
I want a Kaiser roll.
Kaiser rolls are
good.
God, so good.
Number 17. Killzone Mercenary has finally gotten its 2 previously announced free multiplayer maps, and both of them come from beloved PS3 shooter Killzone 2.
Oh.
The maps, Darcis Depot and Bloodcracked, I think that's how you say it, are available not as downloads, but as part of a mandatory update. The update will cost an additional 167 megs on your Vita's memory card in a game that's already notorious for its bloat. Number 18, long-awaited PS4 horror game Daylight, which I really like.
Really?
I think it looks really cool.
You've seen it or played it?
No, I think it looks really cool.
Okay.
I shouldn't say I like it, because I haven't played it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that, Anthony Gaius left us to go do. Jessica Chobot was involved with. It's all coming from Zombie Studios. Like, I'm super interested to see stuff from it. I just haven't seen much since the reveal.
I think the game looks really neat.
Cool.
Finally has a release date. Zombie Studios' upcoming title will be available on PS4 as well as PC on April 8th and will cost $14.99. Looking forward to that. Number 19, Octodad has been given a launch window on PlayStation 4. Look for it in April. That game makes me laugh every time I see it. Remember when I first saw the trailer?
Yeah, that was the best. That was the best. You'd never seen it before, and you saw the trailer, and you're just in hysterics. And you're like, "What is this game?"
It's so funny.
Me and Christine had to explain that it's like a man blending in as or an octopus trying to blend in as a man.
It's
we were just
called
in hysterics.
Deadliest Catch.
Did you see?
Right there.
Did you see that? There was an awesome Reddit thread that got sent around and then became like a Twitter thing, but it was like a photo. Somebody put up a photo, like, because they launched it on PC, and it was a photo of the octopus like cosplay guy. So he's like, he's actually in the real world in the streets of New York or whatever. And they posted it, and all the comments were like, "I don't see what's so funny about this photo of a regular man," because they were all playing along that they were like characters in the world seeing a real dude.
That's funny. Number 20, Lunar Software, the developer behind sci-fi horror game Routine, announced that it's considering a port from PC to PlayStation 4 for the game, and that PS4 is the only console they'd be aiming at. Hopefully we'll have more on that soon. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I imagine every PC game in the world will be coming to PS4.
Yeah.
Number 21, Ragnarok Odyssey Ace, the upcoming PS3 and Vita Monster Hunter-like RPG, has a release date. Look for it on April 1st in North America. I think we already have a copy, actually. Its European release date is yet to be nailed down. Ace is a slight modification of the not-so-good PS Vita game Ragnarok Odyssey.
Damn.
Number 22, Curve Digital has revealed that it's bringing Titan Invasion to PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation Vita. Titan Invasion is technically a collection and puts together 2 games already available on PC and Xbox Live, Titan Attacks and Revenge of the Titans. It's unclear when the collection will be available. Number 23, if a leaked ESRB rating is any indication, Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus is coming to PlayStation Vita. Originally released on PS3 in the fall of 2013, Into the Nexus was a long-awaited return to form for Insomniac's long-running series. Its trophy list has indicated a Vita version was in the works since launch, but this all but confirms that it's coming. And number 24, highly acclaimed indie game Papers, Please may just come
Yay!
to Vita. And a
Yay!
conversation with VG247, the game's developer, Lucas Pope, all but confirmed that a Vita iteration is indeed coming. He's just trying to figure out if he'll port it himself or if he'll have an outside company do it for him.
That's really cool.
That is it.
That was a hefty one.
That-
It only took us 53 minutes to get through it. I'm happy with that.
That was the
good.
roperest of Roper reports.
It's a robust
there.
Roper
It was a
report, as
robust
some of us
Roper.
would say.
Ooh, robust
You like that?
Roper. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we got a
Greg
lot
Miller,
of questions
always
out of the way.
clever. Always
You know,
clever.
this is what happens when you don't read books. You're able to sit around and think of alliteration. Jared,
Yes, sir.
I'm excited for that Papers, Please on Vita.
I am also.
But if I wanted to know what was in stores right now, what list could I consult?
I believe that you'd look at the Andrew Goldfarb Memorial list of.
Damn,
up
he
to-
got it! I didn't think he was going to have that. I was all set to scream at him.
No, it's the Andrew Goldfarb Memorial list of upcoming games for the PlayStation Network, right?
Close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I think we decided on the Andrew Goldfarb Memorial list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors.
Sorry. Okay, see, now I was not prepared. I'm shamed.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I miss that guy already.
I don't.
You don't? No.
See you later, Andrew Goldfarb.
Bull,
Dead
y'all.
weight.
Andrew Goldfarb's a man.
Plus, I need to get a sub with him still this week at some point.
I miss his unflagging optimism.
You didn't talk to him enough.
PlayStation 4 Basement Crawl finally comes out after being teased for 8 million years.
You know everything
it's
about
available digitally.
You know everything about everything.
Yeah.
Does that game do anything for you? I went and read.
It looks like Bomberman.
I went and read the blog post. Look at the screens. It's like, yeah, no, not for me. And I bailed.
It looks like Bomberman.
But I saw a lot of people were excited. Are you excited?
No.
Okay.
We got this giant poster in the office from them, and the guy in the wig looks like Steve Butts, though. It's
They
weird.
did that on purpose.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I feel better.
And Thief comes to PlayStation 4 both digitally and at retail.
Patrick writes into Beyond at IGN.com just like you can and says, Beyond.
Beyond.
Greg, I see you've been playing Thief a bit on your PlayStation 4. Do you agree with Dan's review? Mostly in terms of quality of the game. The game seemed much worse based on his words than the score he gave it. Bummer. Hey, Patrick, I do agree with Dan's review. It's not a super inspiring game. Dan gave it a 6.8. I might, if I was still in the business, go a little bit lower, from 6.5, somewhere
Still
in
in
there.
the
a little-
business? You stopped being in the business now?
I've retired from reviewing. I got to hang up my coat so I can just go out and jet ski all day.
You're never going to review a game again?
No, never say never at IGN. Come on. I'm
come on,
clearly
yeah.
going to review another game at some point, but
All right.
at the moment, there's no plans for that anytime soon.
right.
Yeah, it's... my thing with Thief was I got a copy, and I've been waiting forever, right, Jared? Because I saw it in New York, thought it was great.
Yeah.
Or thought it was really interesting, I should
Yeah.
say. Was interested to see how it came together. Got the copy the weekend of Titanfall beta. So I played Titanfall beta for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then I was like, now let's see what Thief is. And like Titanfall is this like beautiful experience. You jump around. It's like, this is next gen. You put in Thief. And it was like, oh, this is clunky. And the cutscenes don't run well. And the audio isn't mixed right. And no thank you. And I ejected, played more Titanfall. And then with those lowered expectations, I put Thief back in, played for another hour. And I was like, okay, this is, now I'm back on. It's not, I think it's fine. It's definitely not a great game. It's definitely not a good game. There's a lot of problems with it.
Thief was a must-play game for me because I played the old one.
Yeah.
But that changed. I haven't touched it, and I don't intend to because I sit across from John Ryan on the guides team.
Yeah.
And he played Thief for a couple of weeks, working on the video end of it. And just the stream of profanities coming over his monitor led me to decide that I needed no part of this. It just, I mean, I don't want to speak too much of a game I haven't played, but the word around the office is
It's disappointing. Yeah, it's disappointing.
So,
But-
there's way too many good games for me to play.
The way Dan summed it up in his review, I thought that was really good, was just the fact that it's not a great game, but it's like if you want some interesting stealth scenarios, they're in there. And I was like, I could see that. If you were just coming at it to be like, how could I sneak past this guy? How could I do that? Blah, blah. But it's clunky and it has problems. And
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get to it. No, I thought
there's
it
too much
looked
good
cool, but-
stuff. We haven't
this
talked about
will-
much.
PlayStation 3, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 is available digitally and at retail. I gave it a 6.5. Recommend it if you really, really, really want to see Lords of Shadows trilogy through. But it is not nearly as good as the first Lords of Shadow, and that doesn't even make any sense. So it's very disappointing. Magus comes out digitally and retail. Port Royal 3 Gold Edition comes out at retail. Tales of Symphonia Chronicles is available at digital and retail. Highly recommended.
Yep.
Not for Dawn of the New World, but for Tales of Symphonia itself. And you can download those games individually if you want. So just don't download Dawn of the New
play
World.
Symphonia, just don't even bother with Dawn.
Yeah.
I agree.
And Thief is also available on PS3 digitally and retail.
did we ever get that copy? They only sent us,
what copy?
originally, Thief. They only sent us PS4 and
No,
Xbox
we never got
One.
PS3 and 360 copies. We had to go buy them.
Okay, did we buy them yet? Do you know?
We did. The reviews went up yesterday.
Oh, were they worse? Were they notably
I
worse?
think they were scored a little worse.
Okay. Just wondering. I was gone.
It's kind of odd
not
when you don't get when you don't get all of them in like that.
It's
Or
not. It's very obvious why they
Yeah.
do that. Vita Mahjong World Conquest is available digitally.
Another Mahjong game,
Yep.
huh? I've been enjoying the one I bought earlier.
I've been thinking about downloading a Mahjong game.
It's
so,
good. The
yeah.
one that came out was good.
Is it? Really?
Not this one. The one that I have on
the
my
one you
Vita
already
right
I
now.
like
Okay.
Mahjong.
Yeah, Mahjong's awesome.
And PS1 classic Herc's Adventures.
Herk-a-dirk.
Okay, wait. Don't throw that piece of paper.
Don't you dare
quite
throw
yet,
that away.
Yeah.
because you haven't yet touched the highlight of the week, which is the fact the Pac-Man Museum came out.
Oh yeah, why isn't that on here?
I don't know, but
You're
Oh, yeah,
It
Pac-Man
should be.
Museum's on PS3.
Okay, yeah, Pac-Man Museum. And why should we purchase Pac-Man Museum, Colin?
Because you got Pac-Man fever?
No. Well, yes, I definitely have Pac-Man
Why
Fever.
should you download Pac-Man Museum? I assume Miss Pac-Man's in it, which is one of the great games of all
Yeah,
time.
well, actually, Miss Pac-Man's only in it if you buy it up to the 14th. I think it's the 14th of March, somewhere around there, after which
hell
you have
kind of
to buy
plan
the
is this?
DLC. But it includes Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man, the never released in the United States Pac and Pal Japanese arcade game, which I'm very much looking forward to actually getting my hands on legitimately.
Heads up,
because,
you probably eat the pellets.
Huh?
probably
Actually, no,
pellets.
there are no pellets in Pac and Pal.
Took a shot, I missed.
Yep. Nope. Fruit, keys, extra ghost. Actually, a little different mechanic. Very cool game. I've actually already bought this and played it, and really looking forward to this because, in addition to those, we also have Pac-Land, which is Pac-Mania, which is a pretty good little game. Pac Attack, which is stupid. Pac-Man Arrangement, which is totally okay and has been released a few times before. Pac-Man Champion Edition, the original, which is fine. No DX, but you probably already own that
Really?
already.
They
If you
didn't
care
release-
about this.
Because they know they'll still,
Yep.
you'll still buy
CDX
it.
is fucking rad.
However, you get Miss Pac-Man if you buy it early, but the big one here is the first ever appearance of Pac-Man Battle Royale on a home console. Have you ever played Battle Royale?
No.
That is the arcade game that came out a couple of years ago. That game is superb. That is a great, great, great party game. Every game lasts about 3 minutes. It's 4-player. I can't say enough nice things about Pac-Man Battle Royale. Is it worth $20? If you care a lot about Pac-Man, yes. If you like having good party games when you have friends over that don't play video games, yes. Otherwise, probably not. But if you care about Pac-Man or party games, Battle Royale is one of the best. So
I have a
my thing.
question.
Where's Ghostly Adventures?
Damn it, you beat me to it.
No, we tag teamed it. You set
Ghostly-
it up, I
yeah.
knocked it out of the park.
Ghostly Adventures, not on this collection.
Well, then,
That
this is
game.
not really the ultimate collection of Pac-Man.
But yeah, this is the only note I prepared for this podcast because this is very important.
Too bad
Easily-
CDX isn't in there. Okay, that game is a 10.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah,
game.
DX is so good. I guess they're just assuming you already own it if you're buying this
I
collection.
was
don't
addicted.
know.
I was so addicted to that game when it came out. It was not even funny how addicted to that game. And I was skeptical too. I'm like, I love Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Miss Pac-Man's
Solid.
really. I want a Miss Pac-Man machine. There are 2 arcade machines I must have.
Okay.
The Miss Pac-Man machine and Arkanoid. Those are the 2 machines I want. Arkanoid with the wheel.
Arkanoid or Arkanoid 2 Revenge of Dough?
The first one.
Okay. All right.
The second one's fine.
Yeah.
And actually, funny because you lived in Japan, so you'd appreciate this.
Yeah.
Back in, I think Greg knows the story already, but back when in like the late '80s, early '90s, I lived next to my good friend, growing up, Tim, and he had like an extensive.
Hey, punk kid.
No, different guy.
I wish it, but he had to say something to Tim once.
Maybe.
Hey,
yeah,
punk
I'm sure,
kid.
I'm sure
Different
he did.
Tim. Right.
And he had like an extensive collection of NES games. Now his dad was like a businessman, and his dad's associates like would sometimes go overseas. So one of the guys came home with Arkanoid on Famicom, and we didn't understand what it was because he bought this thing where like you put the cartridge into this thing with a ribbon on it,
Right.
and you'd shove it into the NES. Like it barely fit, and then it would make the Famicom game play. And we had even no idea that was a Famicom game. We had no idea what the Famicom was.
Right.
It had like I think the wheel controller and all these.
You had the spinner controller.
If I remember, yeah. Like,
Such
You
a
want
good
it. You want
controller.
and for people who are trying to dress this up. You want like the table one, like an Underdogs, right?
I would like a cocktail table,
Yeah, yeah,
preferably. I don't remember. I think we had the wheel. Like I had the wheel controller. Oh no, we didn't have the wheel controller. I had the wheel controller for the DS one. That's like
Okay.
a totally different one.
Yeah.
So no, we had just the NES pads. But this mysterious cartridge that like I'd never understood what the fuck this thing was. And I loved that game. And then it wasn't until I was in college when I was talking to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was the deal with that Arkanoid game?
Yeah.
And he's like, it was from Japan. And I'm like, oh, it was a Famicom
Famicom game
cartridge
with an adapter, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it was like this totally revolutionary thing in my head. I was like, where did we get that?
When I moved to Japan, one of the first I bought, ran out and bought a Famicom. One of the first Famicom games I bought was Arkanoid, ran out, found a spinner controller. Then I found Arkanoid 2 for Famicom, which was a Famicom exclusive, which had 2-player competitive modes, and had the Famicom in Japan had wired-in controllers. So if you wanted to use an extra controller, you had to use this little expansion slot on the side. So the controller plugged into the expansion slot, but there was only one slot. Well, you needed 2 players, or you needed 2 controllers to play the Versus stuff. So they had a pass-through spinner controller that came with Arkanoid 2. So you plug that controller into the Famicom, then you plug the other controller into that controller. so that you have these daisy chain controllers. You can have 2-player versus on Famicom Arkanoid 2, and it's really cool.
That's awesome. I hated how Famicom's controllers were attached to the console.
Yeah, get a Mark II Famicom if you're going to buy one, because the controllers are removable and NES compatible. You can switch them, same standard. But
yeah, that was just a fun. That just brought back memories though, because at Arkanoid, I had no idea where this cartridge came from. Like, what is this?
From Mars? From Mars.
Brian Armstrong writes in with the final question of Podcast Beyond, episode 331. He says, Beyond. Hey guys, I'm having back surgery this Thursday. We wish you well. And the doc said I'll need to rest for 2 weeks. So I need you to recommend me a PlayStation 3 or Vita game, preferably some sort of long-lasting RPG. I haven't really played any JRPGs, but I am interested, so perhaps this is a good time to dive in. Just tell me where to start.
P4 Golden.
Yep, that for Vita for sure. Persona 4 Golden, obviously, we've done nothing but beat that drum here. But we always talk about it. An overlooked, awesome PlayStation 3 one, Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, Ni no Kuni is fantastic.
Yeah, but now I leave it all to you because I've exhausted pretty much. I mean, like Fallout, obviously, I can talk your off about Western RPGs.
Yeah,
but if he wants to jump into an RPG.
Yeah, Symphonia's out today.
That's a long RPG, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a good game. If you didn't play it on GameCube, Symphonia is good. Tales of Exilia is a good one. Yeah, Ni no Kuni is good. There's other like weird. If you like action RPGs, like Nier is pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't played Nier. I heard that's good.
But I mean, there's a ton of games. I mean, Star Ocean, like there's a ton of games on PS3. But Vita seems to be maybe more appropriate since you're going to be, kind of holed up because of your surgery. So. P4 Golden, obviously, everyone likes that. Ys is a good action.
Yeah, any of the Ys games, Order of Ecclesia, E7. If you can grab those are in PSP versions on the Vita download now, right? Can't you?
They should be compatible. If you have a PSP, you can just download them.
Another fun one, not exactly an RPG. If you never played, Corpse Party, which is available for download.
Yeah,
it's a
Corpse
PSP
Party.
game. You'll find it in the PSP store, but it works on your Vita.
Yeah, clients love that game.
Yeah.
The first Corpse Party is actually a lot of fun, except for the really weird thing about the butt lotion. But the rest of it's really cool.
You can always get a Patapon, if you're not looking for trophies. Patapon will definitely sink a whole bunch of hours and take.
And Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. Trigger Happy Havoc is a visual novel in the same style as Virtue's Last Reward. So it's not a JRPG, but it is very long. So maybe that'll keep you company as well.
Yeah, another non-JRPG that'll eat a lot of time is Spelunky, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Tales of Symphonia, that's the one we just got a whole bunch of copies of, right? That we all got copies of?
Yeah, there's like 700
copies
of Tales of Symphonia.
Brian, I will email you and send you my Tales of Symphonia. Because Colin will have one too. I can play that anytime I want to. So there's one free game for your PlayStation 3.
Yeah, and again, don't play Dawn, just play Symphonia.
Well, he's only getting one for free, so I'm sure.
Wait, they come together though.
Same
Mike!
I'm just trying to save him.
I genuflect to you,
You
JRPG master.
You genuflect me?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm a vampire. That'll probably kill me.
What? I'm glad you finally told us. Oh, jeez. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
wouldn't it suck if I were a vampire? I'd be stuck looking like this.
Is that like really? Is that a really bad pun?
I have no. Well, no. Oh.
No, this is an interesting thing I was thinking because the vampires are going to be like sometimes they look better. Like if you look at the Twilight movies, which I get all my vampire information from.
Okay, well, that's
Bella
your first
looks
mistake.
better like right after she turns into a vampire. But my concern would be that would be my thing. Like I was watching that Being Human, rest in peace, canceled, and I wonder. If I was about to get turned or I was like up for getting turned, I'd be like, am I gonna like tighten up and
Can I
get
go
the
get
abs
Groot?
like you
Yeah,
have,
the abs gonna
or do
appear.
I need to like spend a year work, quit my job, take all the money for savings, live off that, and work out like crazy, then get turned?
Have surgery, rerepair any physical problems that you might have.
Right.
Yeah, missing
Get
toes,
your teeth.
whatever.
Yeah.
Teeth
You got to get everything done.
And your hair, like, because remember in the the Anne Rice movie. What's that called?
Interview with the Vampire.
An interview. Claudia cuts her hair grows all back in. I've got these little like bald man like points sticking up right now.
Right.
I would need to shave my hair before I got turned. But you're getting your vampire information in the wrong place. The Vampire Diaries, best show on TV. Absolutely.
Really?
Oh, so fucking
Better than Arrow?
Oh, I just said a bad word.
Man, Arrow.
What's that?
Better than Arrow?
Better than Arrow. I don't watch Arrow. So
That
okay.
show, man.
Yeah. It's a show.
Vampire Diaries looks like the stupidest thing in the whole world, and you first watch it like, what is this crap? I can't stop. It's like all the Machiavellian...
That's all TV.
It's all the Machiavellian crap of like Game of Thrones, but they managed to make 22 episodes a season. It's just wonderful. It seems so stupid, and it's so good. Yeah,
Maybe I'll check it
I've
out.
lost all credibility.
Arrow.
I guarantee Vampire Diaries is dumber than Arrow. Not to insult you.
That's all right.
Colin will sit there working on his elliptical and watch me, and he's like, "This is the dumbest show ever." And I'm like, "You don't like the source material? You don't
even
care
know what
about
the source material
comics?
is.
It's
What I want-
comics.
What I want to know is
You don't like comics.
How do they not know it's him? Are they?
Because it's based on a comic. That's what I'm
He
saying.
has like a little hood. And
I agree it's dumb. I agree it's dumb that he walks around with the guy he's known his whole life, and the guy doesn't be like, "Wait a second, you're clearly Oliver Queen."
It's really the stupidest shit I've ever
That's
seen.
comics. See, this is my problem with your whole you would it could be the best comic show ever and you'd hate it.
Did I like any comic show?
No.
I must have liked one.
There was that old
go
Flash
ahead.
show. It was pretty good. I liked
Smallville.
that.
Some
Huh?
of Smallville.
Smallville was good.
Some
yeah,
Smallville.
until
Not
the
all of it.
until the Google Cave showed.
I just have such a problem with like it's so obvious that
I
it's
know.
him. Like they need to. Why
It was
couldn't
the
they just
same
give-
thing with Batman.
Batman is less obvious.
Okay. What I want to know
'Cause
is
he's
why
got
we're not
that
talking about the Vampire
voice.
But he's
Diaries
got
right
the
now. We're
fucking
talking about
mouth.
superhero
Like,
shows.
I
This
mean,
is-
like if you shut up tomorrow as Batman, like or whatever, and Batman doesn't exist in our universe, you pop up and you smile and be like, Colin?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, hey Greg, you just say something mean, put something out of punk head, and then jump off the roof. I'd
So
be like,
do I
Colin?
need to be watching Arrow?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, really?
Give it a
Okay.
shot.
All right.
A lot of people, now that it's on Netflix, we've all given it a shot in the office. We all love it. Colin hates it. That's Colin's problem.
Okay, yeah.
If you want to be an outsider like him, only play Danganronpa.
You know you should watch on Netflix. I've been watching lately.
What's that?
Ken Burns' The West.
Oh, Ken Burns' The West
Burns
is
is good.
spectacular. I'm about halfway through it right now. Are you watching through it?
Yeah.
How far along are you?
Second episode.
Second episode. I'm on the fourth right now. It is great. It
I
is
like Ken
wonderful.
Burns' stuff. I
Although
haven't watched this
actually,
West one.
I don't think it's actually directed by Burns. It was produced by Burns, but I think isn't it Steve something that's actually the director? Anyway, it's the
I
same
don't know.
style.
It's called Ken Burns' The
It's
West.
ridiculously good and beautiful. The cinematography's gorgeous. That image in the first episode of the teepees with the sun rising behind it and that black and white. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Where you can see the fire coming from inside him. Oh my gosh, that's
Cinematography
amazing.
in Ken Burns is even though it's in 4:3 is excellent.
But yeah, forget joking about Arrow, joking about Vampire Diaries. You should be watching The West on Netflix if you have it. It's
A lot
inspiring.
of good documentaries
And House of
on
Cards.
it. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing, Greg. That has nothing to do with video games.
Yeah. We just start fighting.
I'm watching that documentary, Room 247, I think it's called,
not sure
about
what's
The
this.
Shining.
Oh,
And it's about...
Is this on Netflix?
Yeah, it's about all of the different interpretations of what The Shining means, like the movie. And
like
all
the
things.
crazy like nutcase interpretations.
Yeah, like really,
Okay,
really
yeah.
crazy stuff.
Okay.
Like some of them are predicated on like the whole theory that Kubrick made the moon landing videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So but
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there's like all of this because people think like a common conspiracy theory is that like the moon like because of 2001 or whatever was like so compelling at that time like with the way it was filmed that like Kubrick secretly filmed all of the moon
fake moon
landings,
landings, right, yeah.
fake moon landing videos.
And there's all these hints in The Shining.
Yeah,
That did
and
it.
like there's like theories that The Shining is about like the massacre of the Indians or like genocide in Europe during World War II and all these kinds of things. You
Yeah.
should watch it. It's
Is it
like,
on Netflix?
Yeah, it's
I'll
really
watch
weird.
It
It's
really is
weird.
like crackpot theory stuff, but it's
I
a lot
wanna
of
see it.
fun.
It sounds like
not
fun.
the documentary, but I've read about a lot of this. Yeah, there's amazing stuff out there.
Ladies and
So it's
gentlemen,
on
this has been
Netflix?
Podcast Beyond, episode 331. Jared will never be invited back because he's
No.
interrupted the outro.
I've interrupted you like 3 times
You're a
this
monster.
podcast.
This is the only one I get offended about.
Very cool. Oh, the outro?
Yeah, I don't really care. You're
Oh,
fine.
okay,
You
good.
can interrupt me anytime, Jared. I love you very much. Thank you for
Thank
joining us.
Thank you for having me. I love being here, and it's very kind of you to invite me back.
Anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, Podcast Beyond posts every Tuesday as an MP3 on IGN, then as a video on Wednesdays. Usually, it's Tuesday, Wednesday. Today we're late. I'll try to get up on Wednesday, but that's what happens. We have to travel. We have to do things. We do it all for IGN.com, so go there because that's what keeps the mics on. Read the articles, watch the videos, buy a Podcast Beyond shirt, like the one I'm wearing at splitreason.com/IGN. Then make sure you follow us all on Twitter. IGN is IGN. I'm Game Over Greggy. Colin is No Taxation. Jared Petty is Petty, Jared. Spell out the comma part.
That's right. COMMA.
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.